Negotiating is one of the most important skills in business. No other skill offers a better chance of optimizing personal success and that of an organisation, says Steve Gates, author of the Negotiation book, who joins me now. So Steve, how much is negotiation success really down to being fair and realistic?
It's an interesting word, being fair and realistic, because many individuals are seduced into applying fairness, that is to say the 50-50 rule, let's find something that works for both of us, rather than focusing on different ways of re-engineering the deal, rather than simply see negotiation as being something that one needs to either be fair at or not. It's about how creative can you be in ensuring that the other party will agree to the very things you want them to agree to and remain motivated to deliver against that agreement.
So what's the main mistakes people make when they are negotiating?
Typically we find that people are ill prepared, they haven't really thought through the nature of the variables that are in play, they haven't really understood the priorities and the interests of the other party. Therefore, there are too many assumptions in play.
You did say before that negotiation needs to be planned, so it's not an impromptu skill?
Not in business. In business, if you're going into a deal that carries a multi-million-pound agreement, you'll put probably many more hours work in planning and preparing than you will actually executing the negotiation itself. So it's a fundamental part of managing the environment that you're in, managing the personalities and the players, the stakeholders that are involved, and ensuring that you've got the right lines of communication and escalation already pre-agreed before that negotiation commences.
Okay, so talk me through your top negotiation traits.
So typically, for example, somebody who has a natural curiosity about them, who is more likely to be effective in asking questions, in identifying priorities, in understanding the other party, that sheer curious mindset will help a negotiator in understanding and negotiating from inside the head of the other party. Typically, a negotiator is more creative, who will see the potential of deadlock as simply being a problem to be solved, an opportunity to re-engineer the variables, to re-examine some of the risks, to find ways around the blockages that are involved, and to see those risks before they come along. Those that are very strong around numerical reasoning, who are able to play with variables, understand the implications of moving one variable off another, and recognizing how they can gain more value, optimize value by moving things around during the negotiation.
Well, let's just focus a little bit more on getting in the heads of your opponent, let's use that word. How much does manipulation come into it, and does it really matter? Do you need to be a very charismatic and charming person to do well in this?
The two interesting words that you used there, your opponent being the first one, and manipulative. People regard or often respond to the word negotiation as being something which is competitive, especially those who are naturally competitive individuals with high egos. A negotiation is simply a process for gaining agreement and for optimizing value. And optimizing value doesn't mean to the cost of the other party. You can build agreements with the other party. So what I tend to find is that the mindset and maturity, the humility, that's another trait for you, the humility of individuals to be able to engage and see through the tactics, recognize the tactics for what they are, and focus on the agenda, focus on the relationship, and focus on the things which are right. Those with a greater level of maturity and humility are more likely to be able to hold their nerve and to be able to work towards a common agreement.
So how can you assure that the other party walks away feeling happy, and at the end of the day, does it really matter?
Well, it does if you need them to deliver on an agreement. In negotiation, we have this concept called satisfaction. You have to give the other party the satisfaction of having won. In other words, being an effective negotiator is the art of being able to lose. Allowing the other party the symbols of success whilst you focus on your objectives, your KPIs, your margins, your cash balance, whatever your focus is on. Focus on that and let the other guy win the symbols of success.
And how should you know when it's the time for you to walk away?
Typically in most negotiations, you'll have what's called a BATNA, which is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. In other words, some call it a break point, a point at which you will walk away because you have better options elsewhere. Really important that you understand that before any negotiation begins. The risk that any empowered negotiator carries is continuing beyond the point that it's not commercially viable.
Well, finally, we can't get away from the fact that there are strong and weak people out there. So if you're naturally a weak person, does that mean you're pretty much going to lose at negotiations?
Being an effective negotiator does require nerve. However, it also requires a heightened level of self-awareness, so that where you are less strong, you recognise it. Where things aren't going as planned, you see it for what it is. In other words, we encourage the concept of a conscious, competent negotiator. In negotiation, nothing happens by accident. Everything happens for a reason. And if you can see that, if you're conscious enough to understand and recognise that, you can act then appropriately.